This is To Catch a Con Man, Season 2, In the Victim's Voices. I will take you on another fascinating journey, but this time you will hear from other men and women that, like me, have fallen prey to the various cons, scams, and deceits by one of the most prolific and successful con artists to live and operate in the Midwest. You know him as Ricky Dugo.
Could $100,000 sustain my life? It couldn't even come close. So listen to me. If I was going to be in some sort of con, scam, conniving thing, it'd be for millions. It wouldn't be for $100,000.
To Catch a Con Man is brought to you by Studio 847 in Long Grove, Illinois. Listener discretion is advised, as some of this programming contains language and content that might be offensive to some listeners.
Join me on this adventure to catch a con man. This is Adam Albin. Thank you for listening in to Season 2 of To Catch a Con Man, In the Victim's Voices. On this next episode of To Catch a Con Man, we will talk to yet another victim that was searching for a mentor and someone that could show him the ropes on how to start a new business venture. He literally bumps into Ricky Dugo in a chance encounter that 8 months later had left him and his family completely broken. If he could go back in time to that day he met Ricky Dugo and change that random event, he would run the other way. Let's go back to early 2001 to 2002 and meet David Andrew.
Hello, my name is David Andrew, originally from Illinois, northwest suburbs of Illinois. Currently residing in Florida, Tampa.
Very cool. When you were living in the northwest suburbs, David, where were you? Were you out in Addison?
Yeah, Addison, Medina, Itasca, Roselle, Bloomingdale. Okay. Those cities.
All right. So take me back in time. How old are you? What's the year? What are you doing?
So the years, I believe, either 2001 or 2002. I remember because I had my very first sport bike motorcycle, and it was a 2001 as the second year. So yeah, it would be 2003 actually. I'm sorry. Okay. 2003, and I remember I was just riding and going to work, and work for me was at the time Bally Total Fitness on Army Trail Road in Glendale Heights, and I was running late. I was a trainer. Previously to that, what got me into being a trainer, little story about me, I was fairly heavy. I was very heavy. My mom's a chef, and in the European culture, especially Italian, which I am half at least, they stuff you. They feed you. It's like a sign of love. Yeah. It's just to keep stuffing you with food, just continuous. It's like it's just never ending. And she did. I ate, and I was a little fat ass for that reason. I turned some things around, and I lost a lot of weight, and I felt good and wanted to share my accomplishments with others that were struggling. So I wanted to give a personal training a try, and I did. So when it comes to how I met Rick, I remember the day because I was trying to, and did, unfortunately, lose the police on my motorcycle. I got caught speeding, and I didn't slow down. I lost them. I just figured that if I was going to get pulled over, I was going to be in deep trouble, so I just ran. I know that's not the thing to do, and I'm not proud of it, but that's 20 years ago. So when I parked my bike and I was literally running into Bally's, I bounced off of an individual and fell flat on my ass. I was 6 foot, I was 6'3", 100 and maybe 65 pounds, 162 pounds. So I was very wiry, tall and wiry. It helped because I was the ugly duckling that transformed. I was picked up to be, to do outside of the personal training. What I did was runway shows. I was in the entertainment world. I did modeling. I do voiceover work. I did television shows, acting. I'm tied with CineSpace in Chicago. I've had inclusivity, representation. I did that for 17 years. So back to bouncing off of someone, I literally fell on my ass, and I looked up, and there's this, big, nice looking guy, muscular, all like done up. His hair, nails were perfect, nice smile, all tan, at the time, tanning and this and that. That was the thing. The spiky hair, that was the thing. Got to be glued. The spiky gel, to put in your hair to make it look good, that would never come off. I looked up and he gave me a helping hand. He goes, "Oh man, you gotta watch it." And I said, "Hey, I'm sorry." He's like, "Oh, it's all right, man. I saw you were kind of rushing into work. You didn't see, and you just, you fell. I'm sorry." Surrounded by a couple people, again, dressed at the time, with all those Adidas jumpsuits and the new, diesel, like square toe, like shoes that were very popular. And so I was walking and he had this beautiful, white SUV with 22-inch, I think he called them Giovanni rims. It was all about the wheels, the chrome. And I was like, "Oh, wow." And he said, "Hey, I'll catch you around." And, I started to build a relationship with him at the gym, not knowing, anything, and just being kind of like mesmerized by all these nice things that he has. And, people that showed him respect, and, he always seemed pleasant. And I'm like, "Wow, that's, not having an older brother." I'm like, "Well, that's kind of, that would be cool." I'm looking up to that. I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." Always had money, taking care of his buddies. He would give me a couple bucks to get protein shakes and this and that, just because he sees me working. And that's where I met him, was at work. He talked to me one day and he goes, do you ever would you ever want to do something to, make, good money, and kind of be well off? I said, "Well, of course." I'm like, who wouldn't? He's like, "Well, you know what I do?" I said, "No, what do you do?" I'm interested. And he talked to me about, car washes, and how they're just nothing but money. And talked about that he owned a couple of them, and he took me, eventually, talked to me about, how much profit they could make and this and that. And, kind of captured my interest. And little by little, he kept inviting me, to places with him. One day he would come to the Bally Total Fitness in Glendale Heights. And he literally brought me a bag with brand new Adidas jumpsuit, similar to what he wore. And, no one's ever done anything like that for me. I just thought that this guy had all this money, and I'm like, wow, how cool is that to just go out and buy $100 of, jumpsuit for no reason, to invite me out. I felt special. I was like, oh, cool. No one's ever done that for me. we get to go out. He takes me out to different places to eat and this and that. He continuously talks about this car wash, and he takes me over to see this friend of his, John St. Pierre. And John St. Pierre, again, to me, didn't look like much of anything. Looked like a recovering drug addict. Like, there's nothing to him. He just doesn't look like he's anything. And he lives in this little apartment in Chicago, or some kind of room that he's renting from someone, and there's nothing in there. There's a couch, a TV. I mean, very plain, very just whatever. And he's telling me about the car wash and how good of a, money business it is. And, I'm 20, 21 years old. I didn't really think anything of it. I'm just looking. The guy didn't impress me like Rick did. But I'm like, people are different. Next thing you know, he starts taking me to places for potential, car wash adventures where we could put another one up, and he wanted me to be a manager. And he's like, you can manage, this, and you'd have some guys that you would tell them, when to work and this and that, and make sure everything goes over well. And, kind of taught me a little bit here and there about car washes, and I learned about like zoning and what you need to have by the county and this, that, the other, permission to do the business, whatever. Didn't really spend too much time on that. Again, I didn't know any better. At this time, he started to ask me, for money to help him invest in the business. Also at this time, he's met my family. Unfortunately, shortly before I met Rick, my mother and father separated. Had they not been, I don't think I would be having this conversation with you. So my mother, being a chef, Italian, and caring individual, listened to Rick and this and that, and she spoke to my uncles. My uncles are doctors. They own their own family practice, one in LaGrange and one in South Barrington, successful in their craft. He always carried a cross around, talking about how he's a soldier of God and, this and that.
So,
and he met my uncles. Yes, sir.
I was just gonna, if I can interrupt. This is a wild and crazy journey that you're taking me on here. And what I can tell is, not only, a lot of victims, a lot of Rick Dugo victims are more like acquaintances, buddies, but it seemed like you guys really forged this relationship. You looked up to him. This was somebody that you admired, you wanted to be like, and he gave you an impression, right? That he's, he's coming from money. He's got these businesses. So there's an emotional, there's almost like an emotional con here, that's a little bit different. And I'm really finding your story to be interesting. I just want you to know, it's very interesting. I have a couple questions about timing. You mentioned that this was in 2003 that you met him thereabouts. Is Rick dating anybody? Do you know?
Yeah. Rick is dating any piece of ass that he could get his hands on. Rick would stop anything to go to this Enza girl.
Yeah.
And honestly, with all due respect, she had the body of olive oil from Popeye. She was this little twig.
Yeah.
Small. There's nothing about this girl that was just mesmerizing. But it was his kryptonite. Okay, Enza.
Yeah.
And he would get her anything and everything. Matter of fact, the things that I had to do, and at this time, again, through our journey, things that he had me doing that, again, I didn't know any better. I didn't think that this kind of disgusting people existed. I'm 21 years old. It's things that I would never do, so I would never do it. So why would I think it exists in the world? My life experience was nothing. I mean, I went to school, high school, I went to college a little bit, and college at DuPage, and I just worked and did the entertaining thing. And while I worked at Bally's, I just tried to keep myself afloat. Ray could find girls. One girl, her name was Maria. Well, she was a waitress at this little 24-hour diner. She seemed like a very nice person. And, he would get this other girl, Anna Borzecki. At the time, she was like a receptionist at a Chevrolet dealership, if I recall. Blonde hair, blue eyes, a Polish girl, a little thick, but a very nice person. But long story short, he would hook these girls and have them do things for him to help him create more revenue for himself. And what I mean by that is he would have Maria and he would have Anna put Rolexes. He would go to CD Peacock.
Yep.
And have him fill out a credit application, and next thing you know, he has a Yachtmaster or a Sea Dweller or a Submariner with date and time, a Daytona. He has all these different Rolexes, and they have 90 days no pay. So he tells them, and then 1 year interest free, blah blah blah. And he tells them, me, I got you. I never let anything bad happen to you. And, I'll give you the money when you get the bill. Just let me know. But this helps me. Thank you so much. I've always wanted this. You're such a sweetheart. I love you. Blah, blah, blah. Now thinking about it, I'm like, God, what a disgusting sack of dog shit.
Yeah, and then he would take those down to Howard Fromm and pawn them off.
Well, no, wait. He would. But I was his
mule.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll call you a mule.
I was his mule. And I would end up taking these watches, and I took 5 or 6 of them. The thing is, I have to give my driver's license, and I'm the one getting the cash in hand. Needless to say, I took probably $40,000 on 6 watches, cash in hand.
And then what did you have to give to Dugo? What was his take? All of it?
I gave it all to him because we needed it to build the business. So I didn't know at the time who these watches belonged to. He just told me, here's the receipt, here's the box, here's the papers, go see Howard. He's expecting you. Call me when you get there so he doesn't lowball you. He'll talk to Howard and say, oh, this and that, blah, blah, blah.
Wow. Okay, so...
And, I'm recruiting. I'm sorry?
No, go ahead. Keep on going.
The next thing you know, I'm getting $7,000, $8,000 cash with a receipt. I'm signing papers that I sold the watch. Now, mind you, making me completely liable for the possession that doesn't belong to Rick, that belongs to Anna, that belongs to Maria, that belongs to Jackie, that belongs to Nicole, that belongs to whoever. Guys, too. I mean, it wasn't always girls, but he would try to be conning other guys. But again, I didn't know this. He kept everyone's secret, of course.
Of course.
Why would he have me mingling with other guys that when he goes out, he goes, oh, I'll be back, I'll call you in a few hours, he's going to go see this guy, and he's going to go see that guy, and he's going to go see this guy, because he's doing the same shit, but I was the nicest one. I gave him the most. So
what, I mean, did he ever throw you a bone? Outside of this promise of investment that you're building?
No, he would give me a couple dollars here and there. I'm talking $50,
yeah,
$100. While I'm coughing up thousands, I lost 80. Personally, I lost 82,000. Now, back in the midst of all this stuff, when I told you that he was meeting my family. They all knew about Rick and what was going on, and they thought he was a nice guy. Again, he made a great front. My uncle, being doctors, one of them was convinced by Rick, especially since his nephew was going to be going into business with him, me. He helped Rick do two things. One was put an F-350 pickup dually truck, 2003, gray with red graphics from RZA Ford on Harlem or North Riverside, wherever it is, in his name for Rick, followed by a 46-foot cigarette racing boat with twin 12 torque engines my uncle put in his name, and almost cost him his life, a divorce almost with my aunt.
What was the name of that boat?
I don't know. It was white with all these colorful graphics on the side. It had twin V12 torque engines that were 1,200 horsepower apiece, number 6 drives, and it was an all-white leather cabin.
Wow.
At the time, they did an article in this boating magazine, and they called it A Diamond in the Rough. And it was a 2003 or 2004 magazine, and I remember the price of the boat was $456,000.
Yeah, and that's back in 2003. That's probably like a $700,000-800,000 boat today, maybe even more.
Correct. So my uncle was on the hook for this boat, and it was literally, with the interest and everything, the payments were like $3,000 a month for 30 years.
So how did that work? So your uncle puts his name on a boat for Rick. What does Rick do with this boat? I mean, doesn't it eventually get repossessed? Doesn't it eventually get sold?
See, and that's just it. Rick, what he did was he would buy these things, but he would make sure that the loans had like deferred payments, like 90-day deferred payments. So it gave him time to use the truck. It gave him time. So he would make minimal payments. He might make a payment or two on the truck. But that's because he can take his beautiful boat on Lake Michigan and entertain people and show people that he has money because he's got this boat. No one's going to question him. Most people are mesmerized by very nice things that are flashy. They don't ask questions. So he would continue to capture people of all ages interest in wanting to do any kind of business, anything, whatever the hell it was. They just wanted to do something with Rick because he was big and strong and muscles and had 46-foot fucking race boats and, always had fucking, boat parties with bimbos and all sorts of shit that I never participated in because he didn't want me to see him doing what he does. I always did his bitch work. I always did the mule. I was always trying to get more money. I was always talking to friends and family, trying to generate more money to try to put into the business.
Yeah, let's go back. I mean, I totally get the image of burgeoning success. He has a couple great cons, and then that just begets more and more bigger cons. It's amazing how he was able to have this almost like a domino effect. If he had a major score, he was set up for a long time.
Right.
But let's go back. Talk to me about your deal. Let's go back to the Rolexes where you're building. You're building capital for a business. How does your family get involved? I mean, are you pitching this to them? Is Rick pressuring you to pitch this to them?
Yeah, it was both. Eventually he was like, go and ask all your family, let them know what's going on, that we need money for the business. So he would introduce himself, tell them all what he does and what he would like to do. And then he has me going and asking my family, hey guys, if you guys could please, I'm trying to go into business with Rick and we're opening up the car wash and I'd like to be a business owner. I put in, a lot of my money. I put in, but we're a little short. If there's a couple $1,000s that you can help me out with, I'll pay you back in good time. And my uncles, my aunts, they have money.
Yeah, they were well-to-do. Yeah, they were doctors. Yeah.
Like they're okay. So
or they were okay.
They would give me a lecture I wouldn't think anything of it. And they'd give me $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000. I'd go cash it in a check form, and I would give it to Rick. And it was, I between my family and myself, friends, anybody that I talked to tried to get money for the business, I know that I probably collected $180,000, $190,000, 82 of it being mine. But from friends and family, I collected over $100,000 in a span of 6 months.
And what do you think Rick is doing with this money? Because at this point, David, he's not married. He doesn't have kids, which, obviously, in like today's age, he's buying him new shoes. He's buying his wife a new Louis Vuitton. But he's a single bachelor back then, crushing people. Right. What is he doing with all the money?
Well, he's also, when I tell you he's a piece of shit, one occasion at my house, he lied about his age.
You may hear me cut a few parts of this conversation out, as an allegation that is so shocking and severe is detailed out that I needed to refer this information back to law enforcement, as this is the second time this same allegation has been made by two separate financial crime victims that were very close to Ricky Dugo in the early to mid 2000s. I simply can't talk about it on this podcast, as it goes above and beyond the story of just being a career con man and scammer.
But I just felt bad because I wish I could have, done something. And in my head, I was thinking red flags, like, oh God, we're going to get in trouble, and I'm going to lose all the money, the business. I'm going to lose, whatever I have invested with this guy. So I just wanted to go. I wanted it to go away. So, again, I have no idea about the real world. Like, I didn't even have a girlfriend until I was 21 years old because of my being heavy. I didn't understand when I lost weight and girls would talk to me that they were actually taking an interest in me. I was so naive because I have never ever interacted with girls because of how big I was, that it never crossed my mind. Like, I was like aloof. I was just like, whatever.
How do you look at Dugo, like, then moving forward? Obviously, you're engaged in a business deal, but you're looking at him different, right?
Well, it started because this was months into our adventure, and I was very nervous and scared. And now I'm starting to see like bits and pieces of things that just didn't make sense. But I didn't know how to go about doing it, nor did I want to go to my family, because I would feel like I'm going to be looked at as a fool, like I'm stupid.
Sure.
And I just wanted to try to prove everybody wrong that this business existed. So I did everything to try to get it off the ground. In a place very deep, because I didn't really want to focus on that. My focus was trying to become successful and get this business off the ground. He took this girl from a nail salon in Glendale Heights, across the street from the Best Buy on Army Trail Road. There's a little nail salon in there, and her name was Jackie. And he took her for a new Suzuki Hayabusa, silver one. He kept in my garage.
A motorcycle.
Mm-hmm. And he knew that he could sell it. He can have it taken, and he can get probably $10,000 for the parts because it's new.
Right.
So the motor, the fairings, the brakes, the wheels, the the wiring, like the computer, like he
was partying it out.
Yeah. Again, I didn't know that was the intention. Like, the guy was just fucking evil. He's the fucking devil in disguise. He's a piece of shit.
I don't disagree with you, David. I don't disagree with you at all.
But long story short, if I ever saw this piece of shit, ever, without any hesitation, I would fucking bull charge him and beat the fuck out of Rick.
Yeah.
It was so much anger and rage inside me. I swear to God, I think I'd kill him.
Yeah, you probably would. I don't doubt it.
Like,
David, I mean, I don't doubt it. I've been there, I've been there.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that, too.
No, these are all, there's, what I think happens with these interviews, David, is I think that there's a catharsis that happens. I think that there's like a moment where people feel so like vulnerable and they're so ashamed and embarrassed, and all of a sudden they get to talking about it with somebody else that another person that this happened to, and you relate. We have something in common. We have a brotherhood of sorts.
Yeah.
Because we know how it feels to be fucked over by Rick Dugo. So it's a weird thing to say, but I've never talked to you. I've never met you. I've only seen you on the Dorothy Tucker special on CBS 2 News. But I knew that we would have a connection. Everybody that I talk to that is a victim, I have a connection to. And so the beauty of all of this is, if there's other people that you ever want to talk to, I could probably get you in touch with others if it makes you feel better. I mean, I wouldn't walk around with so much rage all the time. At this point, how do you feel? Let me ask you this. So, he took you for $82,000. Where is that money coming from? Where did it start? How did you make the money?
Well, honestly, I was doing very well as far as work. I was able to live in my parents in the basement. It was like an apartment for me. I furnished it, but I worked my ass off. My first job, I was 13 years old. I was a caddy at the Medina Country Club. So when everyone is on summer break is going to sleep and sleeping in and staying up late, David was waking up at 5:30 in the morning to go do golf loops at 13.
Yeah, you're a hustler, baby.
I do what I have to do, but I wanted things, and I knew that my family wouldn't be able to give me those things, and I had to do it for myself.
It's respect, man. I get it. Yeah, my first job was at 13 as well. So you made some money as a kid. You did well at Bally.
I saved everything.
Yeah. And
I did modeling. I've been on billboards. I've been in magazines. I got paid to do voiceover work for video games. I mean, I legitimately, like, I'm a SAG actor. Like, I'm on an IMDb. If you look my name up, you'll see my credentials. I've got like 14, 15 professional credentials. I've been on Nickelodeon, iCarly. I've been on The Mentalist. I've been on CSI Miami. I've been on Veronica Mars. I've been on a bunch of fucking television shows. I've done movies. Commercials. And that's how I was able to, in the beginning, I did some of those things, and I would get chunks of change, $5,000, $6,000 for a job that took 8 hours, and my agents would cut me my checks, and I'd pay taxes, and they'd go in the bank, and I just let it grow. And I was, proud of myself. I didn't need anyone to tell me I could or could not buy anything, and I felt good, and I felt like I was going to be taking the money that I made, and I was going to be doing something awesome and building a business, and being, way ahead of the game at the age of 21, 22. I was going to be like,
yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, yeah, I'm going to have a business, before I'm 25. I'm going to be successful, and I'm going to have all those nice things, and I'm going to fucking open up another car wash. I'm going to have a whole fucking chain of fucking Dirty Dave's car washes all over the fucking place.
Right.
And, it was just a facade. It was a fairy tale. Nothing about it. Yeah. Nothing about it was real, except for the fact that there were car washes that we went to go visit that did not belong to Rick. But of course, what am I going to do? I'm going to ask the fucking people that are washing his car and treating him like he's the boss. Hey, is that guy the boss?
Right.
When they're calling him boss and this and that, but the thing is he orchestrated it.
Right.
The thing is he would have John St. Pierre or whoever the fuck's car wash it was, hey, when Big Rick comes in, he's got some people in there. I want you all to call him, boss or boss man, or, I want everyone. I want the guy that he's with to think like this is his place.
Wow.
And that's what he did. So why would I think otherwise?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not. There's no judgment. I completely get it. I mean, he built. This is it's a bit more complex because he actually built a complete, facade and a fake venue with almost like people that were either paid off or. It's pretty wild, man. I am sorry that it happened to you as well. It's terrible.
Sure.
Because if you think like $82,000, like if you were 20, if you would have put that in the stock market, you'd have like $1 million today.
If I took $82,000 and bought Bitcoin 15 years ago, when it was 2 cents a coin, I'd be $200 billion when I hit the 60,000.
Right. Yeah,
you understand 200 billion? Trust me, I did the calculations.
Yeah, but
it hurts.
Thank you for listening to part 1 of David's interview. You can hear the emotion in his voice. David thought he found a mentor in Ricky Dugo, but instead finds himself in a very compromising position where maybe Dugo isn't who he claims to be. Coming up in part 2 of David's interview, we may hear of the aftermath of not only the financial con, but also the collateral damage that transpires with his relationships within his own family.